Hey everybody, welcome back to Shock and Schlock. I'm your host, Herschel Gillis, and today I have quite the film for you. It's the first film I'm reviewing by this director. It will not be the last. I'm going to be doing a director series starting with this episode. I'm not starting from the beginning of his filmography, but I'm starting just, at a good starting point, I guess. And it's going to end with a interview with the director in 2 weeks from yesterday. The 26th of January will be the day that I'm interviewing him. And that is, of course, Brian Paulin. I have not reviewed a Brian Paulin film, but I've been working on this little review series now. But today, for the first part of this Brian Paulin series, is going to be Cryptoplasm, the 2015 cosmic horror gore masterpiece. So the story's about this guy. His name is David Gates. He's a cryptozoologist who's hired to film his investigations by this production company producer guy. And one of these is this town where all of the residents seemingly disappeared without a trace. We get an idea of what happened at the beginning of the film when we see some weird, crazy, unexplained gore and tentacles, but anyway. He sort of goes out there with another person, Brian, played by Brian Paulin as well, and he sort of experiences some things, and it's really he bites off more than he can chew, and he gets some mysterious things going on in this town. Seeing things that might be there, might not be. And then he's sent later on to film a exorcism, and this is when sort of hell breaks loose. I don't want to ruin too much here, but let's talk about it. So this film, if you follow me on Letterboxd, you know this is in my top 4 films of all time. It's obviously one of my favorite movies. But let's talk about why. So first off, the story, it's very well written, actually. There's not really plot twist, but the tension and dread is there, not just because of the atmosphere that's created with the camera and the way that the film's shot and the music and all that, but it's also with just the way that the film is written. It's written really well. The plot progresses at a steady pace, with different things sort of happening, and these puzzle pieces start falling into place a little bit, while we still don't get the full understanding of what's happening, which is what you want with cosmic horror, which is my personal favorite sub-genre of horror, H.P. Lovecraft type of stuff, Cthulhu, all that. So the story is very mysterious, and it's legitimately scary. Something that I think a lot of people in underground cinema struggle with, directors. This is obviously not a blanket statement. I'm just saying there are several that they tried to make a scary film, but they just sort of overdo it too early on with gore and all this stuff, and it kind of removes that shock factor or whatever. Or something will gross you out, or something's disturbing, but it's not scary. This is scary. It's atmospheric, there's creepy music, there's glimpses of monsters and stuff in the beginning, and maybe you don't understand what's happening. There's that fear of the unknown, and maybe there's stuff out there that can't be explained by science or any of this stuff, and maybe there's even a different universe with you in it, living a completely different life, and maybe those people hate you and they want to come here because it's hellish, and what if hell's real, what if all this crazy stuff, right? This film sort of makes you question those during the plot, what's happening here. And I think that's it. Brian Paulin does that very effectively. And yeah, the film is shot really well. There's some very creative camera techniques here. The acting is pretty good, across the board. It's not bad at all. David is a believable character. Brian does a good job as well. The producer can be sort of iffy at times, but he's not in the film that much, and he's usually, it's fine. There's nothing to write home about, but it's serviceable, and Brian and David are played very well. The music as well during these scenes, it ranges and it sort of matches the intensity of the scene going on, and it adds to the atmosphere of everything that's happening there. Really good across the board there. I think my one qualm or thing that I think people might notice about not just this film but Orbit Vision films in general is that maybe the camera quality isn't that great, but I mean it's a low budget horror flick. I mean, I've heard a few people say that this is a issue with it, or it looks cheap. Number one, it doesn't look cheap. You're just the camera quality. I mean, it's not like a 4K camera on a $10 million budget movie. These are very low budget, almost micro budget films, and sometimes that shows just in the actual visual quality, but not the film quality. And let's talk about what a lot of people are here for as well, which is the gore. Brian Paulin has become very well known for his gore flicks at this point, with stuff like Bone Sickness, Blood Pigs, Fetus, the 2020 Septic, or was it 2022 Septic? I think it was 2022. I don't know why I said 2020 again, but yeah, stuff like that. He is the best in the business, not just in independent filmmaking or underground cinema. I'm talking in general. These are probably the best practical effects that I have seen. I don't want to say ever, but these since The Thing, the 80s onwards, these are the best modern practical effects and practical horror effects. The creature effects, everything is great, and I want to, you really have to give Brian Paulin props for this. He is a master at making goopy, nasty, gory stuff. The kills in this movie are insane. Faces explode open and tentacles come out. People are eaten by giant monsters. There's a gore monster with people coming out of it. People are sucked into wormholes, put into walls, and it's all done by Brian Paulin. It's extremely impressive. As someone that's going to be starting production on their own short film soon, it's such an inspiration to see that this is possible with such a low budget. And yeah, the creature effects and everything in this as well are just stellar. What Brian is able to do with such a small budget is ridiculous. These creatures are some of the most memorable, disgusting, nasty looking things ever. And during the scenes where it's supposed to be restrained, the effects are still great. And there are shots in this and that combine the gore and cinematography in a different way that look really good, and they actually add to the creep factor. I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say there's a shot that's it looks like somebody is, something's coming out of their mouth, but it's going up. Presumably it was shot by them being laid upside down, but you would never be able to tell this. And it's awesome. Awesome is my best word to use for this film. It's just a lot of fun. It's scary. It's gory. It's cosmic horror. It's creatures. This is the most excited that I've been about doing a review in a long time, was reviewing Cryptoplasm. So that should give you an indication. Go purchase this. You can buy it from Brian directly on eBay. I'm going to leave a link to his eBay store so you can purchase this as well. Brian's a really nice guy. Should support his work. And especially in this case because he's a master filmmaker of underground cinema. All of his stuff is great. I'm really looking forward to this series. Cryptoplasm is a great place to start, though, especially for Eldritch, Cthulhu, horror stuff, cosmic. And, if you're a fan of gore movies, this will satisfy you. If you're a fan of scary, atmospheric horror movies, this will satisfy you. If you just want creatures, this will satisfy you. It's great. Watch it. That's what I've got to say about it. I could just keep going on and on and on about how I like it, but at the end of the day, all I'm going to say is just go watch it for yourself. I guarantee you'll like this. If you like any of the things I mentioned previously, if you like low-budget movies, and, you know, if you are a fan of underground cinema, obviously you are if you're watching my channel, go watch this. The gore is great, the special effects are great, the acting is pretty good, cinematography is great. It just looks stunning, and it's fantastic. So go buy it. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be doing another Brian Paulin review. Also going to be interviewing Sam Hell tomorrow on the Open Casket podcast, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, as always, I've been your host, Herschel Gillis, signing off for today. Zero thoughts, zero editing, zero brain cells, and zero planning. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Keep your notifications on. Stay nasty, and I'll see you tomorrow.